Okay, today is day 5, and for today's article, I'll be reading an article about the paradox of craving to be seen but fearing being known. And just by reading off this title, I feel like this is something that relates to me. And one technique that I'll be actively practicing would be down talking, which is instead of having my voice go up at the end of a sentence, I will try to make it go down while not seeming monotonous. I think that's a direction that I would like to train my voice to be towards, and yeah, that will be a practice that I will be attempting. So let's start. I will start the timer. Okay. We live with a quiet, often unspoken tension. The aching desire to be truly seen, understood, and accepted. Yet simultaneously, the impulse to hide, to hold back, to keep parts of ourselves locked away from others' eyes. It's a paradox many of us know all too well. We expect to be known, to be loved fully, but resist the vulnerability that comes with allowing others to know the real us. Sometimes I catch myself retreating just when someone seems close to understanding me. It's like a reflex, pulling back before they can truly see the cracks and shadows I'm terrified to expose. I want connection, but the fear of rejection or being too much whispers louder than my desire to be known. It's exhausting, living in that tension, craving intimacy while holding that door half closed. This tension creates a quiet heartbreak, a loneliness nestled deep inside, the place between craving connection and guarding ourselves from pain. It's a loneliness that whispers, I want you to see me, but I don't know if I'm ready to be seen. We hide because being seen is not always safe. Life teaches us early on that exposure can bring hurt, rejection that feels like erasure, betrayal that cuts deep, judgment that makes us shrink, and the ever-present fear of being a burden. Our hidden parts, the messy, complicated, vulnerable corners of our being can feel too dangerous to share. So we build walls, some high and thick, others subtle and almost invincible. A changed subject, a tight smile, a silence when the conversation edges too close. These walls are survival tools, protective shields forged in response to pain. And for many of us, these shields become a habit, a default way of being. But while these defenses protect us from immediate harm, they also come with cost. When we hide, we carry loneliness that doesn't announce itself with noise, but whispers through every quiet moment. It's the ache of invisibility, not being truly seen or understood, even by those closest to us. It's the isolation that grows when the parts of us that long for connection remain out of reach. And sometimes we hide from ourselves as well. The parts we refuse to show others becomes the part we refuse to accept fully. Self-trust erodes, because if we can't be honest with those around us, can we be honest with our own hearts? Yet despite this, the desire to be seen persists. Being seen is more than surface level recognition. It's deeper than someone knowing our favorite color or the sound of our laugh. It's about having our inner world acknowledged, the unspoken fears, the hidden struggles, the unshared dreams. It is a profoundly human need, this wish to be recognized in our fullness, to have someone glance beyond the curated mask and meet the soul beneath. When this happens, healing begins, connection deepens, and we start to accept ourselves not despite our flaws, but because of them. But here lies the paradox. We want to be fully seen, yet we resist letting others truly know us. We want intimacy, but fear vulnerability. We expect others to understand us, but hesitate to reveal the parts of ourselves that would invite that understanding. This push and pull can lead to frustration, feeling unseen, misunderstood, or lonely, yet blaming others for not trying hard enough. We might long for closeness, but keep our distance. This is where boundaries meet walls. Boundaries are healthy limits that protect our well-being. Walls are barriers that keep people out completely. The difference is subtle but significant. What if vulnerability wasn't a weakness, but the quietest kind of courage? Letting ourselves be known, even just a little, is an act of bravery. It's a risk because it means showing up without armor, opening the door to possible hurt. But it is also the only path towards genuine connection and healing. There have been moments where I shared the silver of my true self, a vulnerability tucked away beneath layers of guarded smiles. And instead of being met with judgment or distance, I was met with kindness and curiosity. Those moments, however small, feel like lifelines. They remind me that letting someone see even a fragment of who I really am can be the beginning of healing. It doesn't happen all at once. Vulnerability is a practice, a slow unfolding, a willingness to lower the walls one brick at a time. We want to be seen, but only on our terms. We want to be understood, but only if it doesn't cost us our comfort. We want connection, but only if it doesn't require ourselves to be vulnerable. We hold ourselves back, not because we don't crave intimacy, but because we fear the pain that might come with it. We fear rejection, judgment, or being seen as a burden. So we keep parts of ourselves hidden, even from those who might love us. But in doing so, we also keep ourselves from the very connection we desire. We remain isolated, not because others don't care, but because we haven't allowed them to see us. This is the quiet heartbreak, the longing for closeness coupled with the fear of being known. It's a delicate balance, a dance between wanting to be seen and wanting to stay hidden. And yet in this tension, there is also hope. Because the very act of acknowledging this paradox is the first step towards bridging the gap. By recognizing our fear and our desire, we can begin to dismantle the walls we have built and allow ourselves to be seen. Not perfectly, but authentically. Because being seen is not about being flawless. It is about being real. It's about showing up as we are, with our imperfections and vulnerabilities, and trusting that we are worthy of love and connection just as we are. To anyone reading this who's ever felt the same, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to want to hide. But maybe, just maybe, there's a kind of freedom in letting the walls soften a little, in trusting that being seen imperfectly is still enough, and that we are worthy of connection simply because we are human. We are all carrying this paradox inside us, whether we admit it or not. The yearning to be seen, to be known, to be held, paired with the impulse to protect ourselves by hiding, by keeping some parts locked away. Sometimes we catch ourselves wanting someone to notice the cracks, the quiet moments of sadness or joy, without having to explain them. Wanting a look that says, "I see you," without saying a word. Yet at the same time, we turn away, fearing that if someone really looked, they might not like what they saw. This tension shapes so many of our relationships. With friends, family, lovers, even ourselves. We expect connection, yet struggle to offer the openness it requires. We want others to know us deeply, yet we keep them at arm's length. And in that space, between longing and fear, we find the fragile, complicated truth of being human. Perhaps the real courage lies not in tearing down every wall all at once, but in the small, quiet acts of letting someone see us a little more each day. A softened gaze here, a shared feeling there. A truth spoken softly when we trust the moment. It is in these moments, imperfect, tentative, and deeply human, that connection grows. It is here we learn that being seen doesn't demand perfection, only presence. And when we allow ourselves this kind of presence with others and with ourselves, healing begins. Not the sudden sweeping kind of healing, but the slow, steady kind that comes from being known, however imperfectly, and still being loved. This is the paradox of wanting to be seen but not letting anyone know us. A tension that, while painful, carries the seed of hope. Because the very desire to be seen means that somewhere beneath the fear, we still believe in the possibility of connection. And perhaps that is enough to start with. To be seen, truly seen, is to be invited into a kind of intimacy that asks nothing of us but honesty. It requires only that we show up as we are, not who we think we should be, not who we pretend to be, but who we really are. And that is a radical act of self-love and trust. So maybe today, we allow ourselves to want to be seen a little more and hide a little less. Maybe we give ourselves permission to be imperfectly known, to offer a glimpse of the parts we usually keep hidden, to lean into vulnerability with gentleness and patience. Because in those moments, the walls soften, the loneliness eases, and we begin to realize that being seen is not just about others, it is about us, too. It's about the way we look at ourselves, with kindness, with acceptance, with love. And in learning to see ourselves clearly, flaws and all, we open a door to being truly known by others. We are not broken for needing to hide, for fearing the pain that comes with being seen. We are human. Because being seen is not about being flawless. It is about being real. It's about showing up as we are with all our imperfections and vulnerabilities and trusting that we are worthy of love and connection just as we are. Because in the end, we are all just longing to be seen, truly, deeply, and without reservation. I think this is a very good article because it really expresses the paradox of craving to be seen but fearing to be known in a very different way. Initially, when I read this, I thought that the idea of being seen would be the idea that everyone wants attention, but they are afraid of being known for it. But it explores it on a more deeper psychological level, where in fact, the idea, everyone wants the attention, but everyone is afraid of just being seen by someone else. And I think ironically, I'm not sure if I'm explaining it very clearly, it does really answer the question that I had in my mind, is that why would people fear to be seen when they want and crave connection? And now I have a deeper question, because since when did humans become so paranoid and affected by other people's judgment? Why is a very common thing in the world, why is a common fear in the world that I'm not enough, I'm never good enough? What has led us to this state? Could it be societal expectations? Or are we just truly innately a social society that is judging people based on your connections, your abilities? And I think at the end of the day, the last part really hit me, because it talks about how in the end we are all just longing to be seen, truly, deeply, and without reservation. And when you think of love in its most purest form, if you take away and you strip away all the transactions of modern reality, of benchmarking, if we were to love everyone for who they are, regardless of where they come from, it is very possible to love them. But the truth is, in our world today, where we are trying to optimize our life for everything, it is quite difficult to really love someone without reservation, because we are putting them on a benchmark. We are comparing them with something else. And that is probably why people cannot find love, especially in a modern city, because the benchmarks all exist. I think if benchmarks exist, the moment we start comparing people by standards rather than for them, for what they've went through, for their struggles, I think that's when people start to fear showing up. People become more materialistic, people start focusing on the exteriors and forget what truly matters in loving someone. And so at the end of it, I think a few things that I will take away is that vulnerability is the biggest kind of courage. it takes courage to be seen as who you are. Takes courage for you to be judged. And probably that's one thing that I would want to do, which is to be able to be more of myself, which basically means just being willing to be vulnerable, be willing to show myself, and to really just be willing to love in the moment rather than focusing on benchmarks. Maybe difficult, but I think it's a skill that everyone should strive forward towards, especially in a day and age where society is becoming extremely transactional. And that's it. This article is The Paradox of Craving to be Seen but Fearing Being Known. A great read. Look at the link. And that's all for today. Bye bye.